We are live now, so we'll give it a couple of minutes for folks to join. Hello, everyone. We are going to give another minute or two for everyone to join. You can see folks are joining. We have 13 viewers now. It's 9:01. Let's give it another minute. All right, let's start. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I am Rajat Krishnan. I'm the co-founder of Cloud Control, and I have with me Sanjeev Kumar. Go ahead, Sanjeev.
Hey, Sanjeev. Hey, Rajat.
All right. So today we are going to cover a Kubernetes deployment in 30 minutes. So Sanjeev, you want to introduce what we are covering today?
Yes, at a very high level, we will be building a Kubernetes cluster on 3 EC2 instances. And you will see that the cluster will be coming up in like 30 minutes. And the cluster will be ready to accept applications from your Git repository. So, Rajat, we have a lot to cover, so why don't we get started immediately? And as you go along, we will discuss more.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and so the way we are going to do this is Sanjeev is going to take me through the steps. So I'm going to share my screen. We are going to use CloudFormation, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah. We're going to use the CloudFormation template. I'm going to go to the AWS console, share my screen, use the CloudFormation template, and kick off the process. And then we'll cover some background. And by the time we are done with our slides, and some introduction to our platform, the cluster will be ready, and then we'll go inside the cluster and look at the cluster. Make sense?
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen now. So here is the AWS Management Console. So I'm going to take the So I'm going to go into CloudFormation, create stack.
That's correct. Create new stack, yeah.
So I don't have to do anything here other than pasting the CloudFormation, right?
Yep.
So can you briefly talk about this CloudFormation template?
Sure. So, and we are going live with our AWS Marketplace offering, and once we are live, it will land you, once you subscribe to our product, it will land you onto this page, and this CloudFormation template will start building the cluster, The cloud formation takes care of kind of like, I would say, 10 to 15% of the automation that we have built to bring up the cluster. The rest is the rest, the cluster build part is happening on the EC2 instances. That is our installer, AppZ installer, that we will be discussing in the details.
Okay, so I'm going to hit next. Hit next, and
give the stack name.
So I'm going to do webinar 02, and I'm going to use my key. Sorry, I think it is next.
Yeah, we can pick up your key.
Anything else I need to give
you?
you?
That's it. No, I think so. Everything is looking good.
And the instance type is okay?
Instance, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so hit next.
Scroll down, next. Scroll down again. And acknowledge, because we are creating an IAM role.
Okay.
Create a stack.
So this is going to run in the background. While it is running, let's kind of briefly go into our platform and kind of touch on the automation that we're bringing to the table and the value that we're bringing to the table in terms of Kubernetes cluster creation, automation, and management. So I'll start with this slide. AppZ is a multi-cloud software delivery platform. It's as Sanjeev mentioned, it's going to be available in the marketplace within a week or so, and it basically enables you to implement gitops to AWS and any cloud running Kubernetes. Anything else you want to add, Sanjeev?
Yes, and so let's start with the why we are building this platform. And again, Rajat and I both come from like a application development background, and while doing the applications and rolling out at the enterprise scale, we both of us kind of like ran to the challenge that infrastructure has to scale, and I would say infrastructure has to be agile to meet the demand of the kind of like the growing applications. Our background going back in the financial services industry and BNY Mellon and State Street, we saw this kind of like the live challenge, how kind of like enterprise applications can go live. At the same time, the cloud started emerging, and the cloud, although has made the infrastructure very easy to like acquire, easy to like build, but migrating applications to the cloud, it's a big challenge. And on top of that, the challenge which has been thrown on the industry is the Kubernetes, which is, I would say, it's a recent, I would say like 5 to 6 years old, brought by Google. And it has tremendous potentials to optimize the running of the application. The enterprises who have taken advantage of it can easily claim that what used to be run on the 100 virtual machines is running in their premises or like in their cloud in the 50, and even less than that. That type of promise is there with the Kubernetes. The challenge is that how to adopt the cloud, that itself is a kind of like a changing every day, and how to kind of like adopt the Kubernetes. Enterprises, small and large, are kind of like struggling with this challenge. We saw an opportunity, and we saw that this process can be simplified. So our AppZ platform is geared towards low-touch cloud and giving kind of like you don't have to learn Kubernetes to deploy an application on the Kubernetes platform. That's the power we are trying to bring here. And again, this is available in AWS Marketplace in this month. And we have tested our platform on all the clouds. So pretty soon it will be available in all the cloud. You choose your favorite cloud. You forget about that what the complexity of Docker and Kubernetes is. You just focus on your business applications, and we will take your applications live right out from your Git repository and establish it in a resilient and secure way on the Kubernetes platform.
All right. And Sanjeev, today we are going to create a cluster, and we're going to show how easy the cluster creation is. And we have other videos on our YouTube channel where you can go and learn how to leverage our gitops to deploy workloads into that Kubernetes cluster, right? But today we are going to just create the cluster and show how the cluster can be created within a 30-minute window.
That's correct. So if you subscribe to our Cloud Control YouTube channel, we have two videos posted out there. One to deploy the complete WordPress stack, WordPress, Mariadb, and the Vault to kind of like hold all the secrets for these two applications. And another is to deploy Springboot Java, MySQL, and the Vault again uh, on the cluster. The cluster that we referred to in those workshops is getting built here. And this is something which you can build in your AWS account as soon as kind of it is available in the marketplace. If you want to access sooner, contact us. We can whitelist your AWS account and it will be available in no time.
All right, so let's move on to the next slide. So this is kind of what we believe in, right? So Sanjeev, you want to touch on what we bring to the table in terms of multi-cloud capability?
That's correct. So like again, think about the business applications that you are focusing on, because that's the something which is going to add value to your business. You have selected your programming language or like the framework that you want to use to build the application. It could be Python, it could be Java, it could be Node. You have selected a RDBMS, MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, SQL Server, and now you are trying to like piece the things together. And whether you are running on-prem or in running in one of the cloud, um, what has happened is that the cloud is bringing lots and lots of innovation in infrastructure space. So again, it is very easy to acquire the infrastructure. What used to be a big challenge, maybe I would say like 10 to 20 years ago. But now the challenge is that how to take the applications and run there. Also, all the clouds are not made equal. Uh, just because I have like AWS knowledge, I won't be able to operate Azure cloud or GCP, or for that matter, like even some of the private cloud, we have the Nutanix, VMware, OpenShift. We are bringing a layer which masks the complexity of the cloud, and you bring AppZ in between your cloud providers or whatever cloud you have selected, and you have a consistent look and feel. You don't have to know about the complexity of the cloud. You simply plug in your applications to the cloud and take it live. So, and again, we are asked all the time that what is so different about AppZ? And if I have to make the differentiation in just one sentence, we are application centric. And I will give you another analogy here. I buy a BMW car, and if I have to take a certification from BMW to drive BMW, that is insane. On top of that, my BMW car will run only on the roads certified by BMW. That's the insanity, like on a larger scale. That's the challenge that industry is facing. Our goal here is to drive the application simply, securely, in a resilient manner. And to do that, there has to be a layer which masks the complexity of everything which is out there. I don't have to understand how an internal combustion engine works to drive a car. Why do I need to learn how the Kubernetes works to deploy my application in the Kubernetes? These are the basic challenges, fundamental challenges which we are trying to address. There are millions of developers out there, excellent programming skills and all. Why they have to learn the infrastructure to the core to be productive in getting their applications deployed? We are solving that problem.
And also from a multi-cloud standpoint, we are seeing a lot more of our customers. They are preferring a multi-cloud approach compared to just getting stuck with one, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Again, every cloud has different offerings. Certain clouds are better in the like ML and the AI play. Other clouds are better in the compute. Nobody can beat compute in terms of AWS. Azure has very good like DevOps pipeline. So there are variations, and even for the like some people are also preferring from the DR perspective. And many companies will have, especially the larger one, will have to have, as per the regulatory requirement, an on-prem cloud as well as extension into one or two like the public cloud. How to manage this complexity, that itself is a big challenge. And unless we have a layer which masks the complexity, whether it's on-prem or any public cloud, everybody is failing. Everybody is spending millions of dollars, lots of time wasted learning about the cloud, learning about the Kubernetes. All the deadlines are getting missed. We have a solution which can address that. Contact us. We have a live client who have been running in production for more than a year. None of their staff familiar with the cloud. None of their staff understand the Kubernetes, and they are deploying on a monthly basis.
Awesome. So let's say, let's take a simple use case. If I'm a Node.js programmer, if I want to build an application, maybe using microservices and some ReactJS, what you're saying is, all I need to know is that, and we can take that from the Git repository and deploy it to any cloud without the programmer getting into the details of how it needs to be deployed in the cloud.
That is correct, and definitely you have put me one step ahead in my discussion. So far I have been discussing the complexity of the cloud and Kubernetes, and you will also let me quickly explain the power of something called the AppZ stacks. So AppZ stacks are kind of like the curated images. So in the case of Node.js example we will give you a curated Node.js stack image, which is ready to accept your applications, accept your applications, and put on the top of the Node.js AppZ stack, build a new binary, store it, hash it, make it secure, and then deploy it on the Kubernetes cluster on your favorite cloud. So again, so we are giving kind of like the full service, masking the complexity of the cloud, masking the complexity of Kubernetes, and the masking of the complexity of the open source, primarily the containerization, which is the Docker. So again, past 5 years, I would say like 10 years, the industry has been struggling with three major challenges: cloud adoption, the Kubernetes adoption, and what you call is the cloud native application development, kind of like the microservices pattern. And open source is pioneering these efforts. They have the multiple images out there. What we do is that we take the images, add additional layers which are kind of like applications team can make use of, and that image gets integrated with their Git repository in a very simple gitops model and get deployed.
So when I'm a developer, all I'm doing is committing to Git. All that complexity that is creating the images, archiving, all that is taken care of, and it magically runs in Kubernetes, right?
Absolutely, and there's a lot going into this slide, and let me explain that in some details. So our end user, the developer, and the operations team are sitting on the left, as you can see, and they have application development code, or as an operations team, I have some infrastructure changes to make. I want to scale up, I want to scale down, I want to make some network configuration changes in my cloud or on-prem infrastructure, and all of them are interacting with Git. Why Git? Git has become the most popular source control repository, not only from the audit perspective. The Git keeps track of the full audit trails, that who did what, when, and who approved this. Git does that. In fact, we also have a workflow manager, and kind of like the Git can also handle some of the workflow approval process. So as a developer or as an operations team, I make the changes either in the applications or make the changes in the infrastructure configuration. That is intercepted via gitops by our AppZ platform, the platform which is getting built right now on top of the AWS infrastructure. And this AppZ and the the changes, either the source code or the configuration change, is merged with AppZ stacks. If I have to compare the AppZ stacks with the closest, you call it like the competitor or like what is out there, the Bitnami has some stacks, but the Bitnami stacks are plain vanilla stacks. Our stacks have much more intelligence, like the logging, monitoring, and alerting capability built in. And our stacks are not only for the applications, our stacks are also geared towards the infrastructure changes. So for everything that we do is kind of like a stacks based. And the changes from the Git, either from the developers like applications or operations teams infrastructure changes, gets merged from the relevant AppGS stacks. New binary or new like gets created, stored in the registry, and pushed to the cluster for deployment. If the deployment is happening at the higher level QA and prod, we have the approval process the built-in. So we have thought through this process from the the developer or kind of like application centric point of view. So can the developer remain in their Git repository, deploy applications to the favorite cloud without leaving the browser? They don't have to log into any infrastructure. Infrastructure always remains behind a break glass policy. And all these things happening, still the full audit trail, full logging is happening as this kind of like as the code is moving through the different layers and all and getting deployed, and entire the STLC, entire workflow, entire log is visible from our observability platform, which is the AppG dashboard, acts as a single pane of glass for your entire cloud as well as the applications like landscape.
Awesome. So we have some questions now. So let's take a couple of questions. So let me bring the questions up. So when it comes to security, right? So how is what is the best practice on Kubernetes cluster being secure, and how is AppZ helping in that space?
That's yeah. So I think the first major advice I would give and for the security that and I have seen that happening because working with the client, we ask them that show your Git repository, and I see secret out there in the Git. Even if it is private Git repository, secret is out there and clear. And these are, and I see that their AWS kind of the secret access key is out there with the admin privileges. Again, these things are very, very, very dangerous. Avoid that at every cost. Now, how AppZ handles it? And if you go back and look our workshops on the WordPress deployment as well as the Springboot application deployment, you will see that the first thing we deployed into your namespace, again, namespace is again a Kubernetes concept, is Vault. It's a Hashicorp Vault, and it is the best secret manager out there. It can store the password. It can also store the certificates. And we have kind of like adopted Hashicorp Vault as part of one of our core images and core stack. And it is available. It has to be available in every namespace where the applications are getting deployed. So Hashicorp Vault becomes the underlying, like the pinning of all the secrets are getting stored. You just stage it. We have also extended the capability of Hashicorp Vault to auto-generate the secret and all, where the secret doesn't need to be known to the outside world. And once the secret is generated, in your like deployment YAML, which you will see that we have an AppG YAML which gets injected into your Git repository. You just refer to the secret by vault name, vault colon, and it at the runtime the secrets get picked up and used. So that's a kind of like a big value add from the security perspective on the AppG platform. The secrets are always stored. Secrets, nobody can tinker with the secret. And another big thing which I would like to mention is that the secrets are stored at the application level. So if application A has a secret, although they're running in the same cluster, it cannot be shared with the application B unless it has been authorized, and we have a way to kind of like transfer the secret. So we have thought through the security from the ground up. And coming from the financial services background, a regulated industry where the security is paramount, we have taken the security very seriously, and we have baked the security in our AppZ platform.
All right. So now, since we before we go there, so you mentioned some of the other webinars. So we will post all the URLs of different webinars and workshops that we did so far, especially the WordPress one and the Springboot one. We'll post it on the description below. Right now, if you want to go and look at it, they are in our channel under the workshops playlist. So Sanjeev, let's kind of touch on the cluster that we are bringing up. Can you kind of walk us through what we are deploying, where we are deploying it, and what we get out of it out of the box?
That's correct. So again, this is a logical representation of the cluster getting built. And as you can see that the cloud function template which Rajat executed is building three EC2 instances, one master and two worker nodes. And again, if you understand the Kubernetes concept, it has a concept of the master node where kind of it manages the rest of the workload, and you keep on adding the additional nodes as the kind of like the workload increases. Most of the workload will run on the worker node, and the master node, the Kube API, Kube server, etcd, those type of things run on the master node. Now this cluster is getting built. Cloud Function builds the infrastructure, and then we have installer, AppZ installer, which starts building the Kubernetes cluster. We use the micro-k8 upstream to build the cluster, and micro-k8 is a kind of like the common denominator. So that way, whether I'm building an Oracle cloud or like Google cloud, it doesn't matter. Every cloud will kind of like look the same to us. Now, once the cluster is getting built, then we are putting some of our core components and the AppZ related, which is the AppZ platform. You saw the platform, that how the platform is enabling the gitops using the webhook URL, and that is getting built. Then we have the observability dashboard, which is also will be running on the master node as a the Docker container, and there are some more components. I would say that the AppZ platform itself is close to 15 open source tools we have put together, and to give you the self-service and the secure and the secure kind of like interface which you will be experiencing. We are also running some of the core workloads on the core AppZ workloads on the nodes. Primarily the log collectors. We have Elastic to store the logs from your applications. The beauty of this is that if you are deploying your application, you don't have to log into the box to look at the logs. Our dashboard URL, our observability, will extract the logs from the applications and make it visible to you from the dashboard. So entire life cycle, and again, if you watch the workshop that we have posted on the WordPress and the Springboot, you will see how easy it is. And this webinar is kind of like ending where the workshop starts. The workshop starts from the dashboard. You have a blank, no screen, no application deployed, and then you deploy a complete stack. So this webinar will be ending kind of like building the foundation, what you call is the AppZ platform, where the applications kind of like will get deployed. Now, one more thing to mention is that if your applications get deployed on the worker node using the AppZ platform, you committing a change in your Git repository via the webhook, it will be running in one of the worker nodes. Now, it needs to be exposed to the outside world via the ingress controller, and we have also deployed that for you. So that way, kind of like you have a full a la carte solution, complexity of the Docker Kubernetes, complexity of the cloud, complexity of the URL routing, all those things we have taken care of Users focus on your business applications, and we will take it live. We will make it accessible to the world through a again exposing it to the world through the proper URL. So you are routing via our ingress controller. So it's a la carte solution for the complexity of the cloud, Docker, and Kubernetes.
All right, Sanjeev. So about the security again, right? So and the AppZ images or the AppZ tags plays a good role because we keep a curated a set of images that we publish as AppZ tags. So can you talk about what we are doing in terms of keeping those images secure? And we are kind of taking the pain away from the developer in maintaining that images and keeping it up to date, right?
That's correct. So again, and you touched a very good point, Rajat, that open source is a great area, but there are kind of like the wild actors are also out there. Now, the biggest challenge for open source is that where do I go to download the image, and which version is certified, which version is tested. So we take those complexity out. Most of our stacks, and we have stacks for almost all the open source images, the open source tools, as well as some of the vendor solutions as well. We take a version which is curate it. We run the aquasec, white source, the multiple kind of like a scanning tools to make sure that the base image is safe, and then we layer on top of our kind of like the capability, the logging, monitoring, alerting capability, the statefulness capability, and all to bring to you. So the idea is that once you get our AppZ stack, it is secure. Anytime you can come back to us, or we'll be publishing also that what version it is and the scan output and all. Everything is kind of like there with us. So that kind of like takes the worry from you. Especially this is a large concern in the big enterprises that can you show us the bill of material for this open source that you're using? Yes, we have it. It is fully secure. It is sourced from this secure location and brought to you after the full vetting and full resiliency testing.
Okay, awesome. So at this point, let's take a look at where the cluster is. Now let me share my screen again. So it looks like the stack creation is done. So what do I check here? So walk me through what I need to do here to get to the cluster.
Yes, so I would say like this CloudFormation template, and again, I won't go into the details. In fact, there's one area particular where we start putting our footprint is the go to outputs. Yes, and let me explain that what this low touch for cloud mean. As I said earlier, in our we realize that our approach is the low touch cloud, and if I bring a cluster and make it available over the internet, the biggest challenge is that what will be the DNS entry? What will be the certificate? How do we secure that? Again, this is a challenge which all of you face who want to run it, unless you have a proper domain and unless you have a like the certificate, which is very difficult to manage and difficult to understand also. So we have taken care of those complexity also. So in this case, as you can see that Rajat simply logged into his AWS account and kicked off a CloudFormation template, and a dashboard will come up, which is the AppZ dashboard, which is ready for the gitops and ready to deploy the application. And you can see that those steps happening in the workshop that I mentioned. Now, the Lotus Cloud is a domain that we have acquired, and we are running a DNS service also there for you, so that you can directly go there and log in and start kind of like interacting with the platform. And again, you watch our workshop video and you'll see that how you interact with the platform. That's one thing. Another thing I would like to mention is the certificate. Again, many of you run with the challenges that how to have a HTTPS interface for your application. We have solved that problem also using the Let's Encrypt. So Let's Encrypt is a kind of like a open source model where they issue a certificate for 3 months, and we are using that feature to offer you a HTTPS URL with a domain which is created for you. And again, this is for the people who like have an AWS account. My personal account, can I build a cluster and can I start interacting with the cluster? Answer is yes. In enterprise, you will have a domain name, you will have your own DNS server, you will have your own the certificate, perfectly fine. And you simply enable that using the gitops, or like we have another template which can take care of if you're using AWS domain name server root 53 to manage your cluster. Perfectly fine. But this is for the people who have just AWS account. Can I learn to deploy application Kubernetes? Answer is yes.
So everything is done for you in terms of creating the URL, creating the certificate. You now have access to your cluster through an SSL-enabled URL, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
And folks, you want to see more details on how you can use that URL and deploy applications to it, and how it automatically generates URL for every application it deploys. Please take a look at our other workshops in our channel. We show multiple applications getting deployed, and for each application that we're deploying, there is a URL created for it with the certificate enabled and the ingress controller configured to reach the workload. So at this point, let's look at the actual Kubernetes cluster. So I'm going to take this a host name, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to start a SSH session. So let me bring the session to, all right. So I'm going to do SSH. I have my key here. And you're using Ubuntu as a user ID, right?
That's correct. Ubuntu is the default user ID for AWS VM. We are using Ubuntu platform.
And I'm using the host name that I got from the CloudFormation output.
Always make the passphrase for your private key. Another security practice that we always do.
Exactly. So now we have a user ID.
Yes. So what we do on the Ubuntu platform, we create a user called AppZ. So sudo to that, sudo su minus AppZ. Yep. And this is where everything is running. So
can I do get nodes here?
Let's see that whether it's up to there or it should be. Let's try. Yeah.
There you go.
Cluster is ready. Wow.
It was built 18 minutes back. So now the cluster is ready.
Yep.
And can also see the pods running there.
Let's try. So I think we deploy like some of the core components as well as our AppZ core components as well. So let's see that how it looks like.
All right.
Good.
So the cluster is running. It's a 3-node. It looks like it is 1.18.
Yes.
Of Kubernetes. It's upstream Kubernetes, right?
Yes, upstream Kubernetes 1.18. Yep.
Awesome. So now at this point, even if you don't use our dashboard, the cluster is ready for you to use. It's running in a 3-node EC2 instance cluster, all running within the 3 EC2 instances. Correct?
That's correct. And more and more components are getting deployed. So maybe after some time, if you just see that in the alpha tab with the context is where our log collectors Elastic is running. The vault will also be coming up. Then the ingress controller will be coming up. Like those things will be slowly getting added. So
awesome. This is cool. So at this point, I think we achieved what we wanted to achieve today, right? Anything else you want to add, Sanjeev, before we?
No. So again, be on the lookout for our AWS Marketplace. We are targeted to go live on February 15th. And after that, definitely you can go there and download. Just subscribe it and start running the cluster. We're also running a beta program. So first 60 days there will not be any charge from us. And I'm talking about the charges. See the price that we have: 60 days free during the trial, and 7 cents per hour to run a Kubernetes cluster. It's an amazing offering. Subscribe to it. Subscribe to our Cloud Control YouTube channel, and watch the magic that we are bringing to you.
Yeah, and also if you need help, we have a Slack channel dedicated for this platform. So the link is below on this video. So please click there, and you can sign up on our Slack. You can contact us. And again, once the cluster is up, you can deploy. You can learn Kubernetes if you want. You can go behind the scenes, actually use the kubectl command and create manifests and deploy applications, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. So AppZ platform is so you can also if you want to write your own deployment, I'm going to deploy it perfectly fine. But we have, if you go through our GitOps process, and as you watch in our workshops, you'll see how easy it is. Of course, learning, if you want to do, perfectly fine. But the millions of developers who are struggling to deploy applications on the Kubernetes platform, they don't have to learn it.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. So please do stay tuned. Subscribe to our channel. We have at least one live video every week. We'll be doing another workshop next week. I think we are going to cover, Sanjeev, what are we going to cover next week?
Yeah, that's I forgot to mention. So next week, we are going to cover the Python development. Frankly speaking, that our entire platform is also written in Python. So we love that. We love Python language, and we would be doing a demo of the Python application deployment. And also, if you have watched the Harvard CS50 course, they are using an IDE to kind of like ease the deployment. So you do everything on the web, and that power also we are bringing to us. So be on a lookout for that workshop. The power of IDE, kind of like your own personal desktop with the IDE, where you can code and deploy, and it will primarily focus on the Python and kind of like how to deploy a sample Python application on AppZ platform.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, everyone. Sorry we couldn't answer all the questions, but we will answer it now. We'll go back to YouTube and start posting the answers. So please stay tuned. See you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.